Today we're taking a closer look at something a little different from the usual clean die-cast models. This is the 1969 Dodge Charger RT from the Johnny Lightning Barn Find series, a 1/64 scale casting designed to recreate the look of a muscle car that has been sitting forgotten for years. Instead of glossy paint and perfect finishes, this model tells a story through dust, faded paint, and weathered surfaces. The Barn Finds line focuses exactly on that idea. Cars that look like they've just been pulled out of storage after decades of neglect. Even the packaging reflects that concept, with rusty textures and aged graphics that match the model inside. And right away, you can see the name on the side strip. 1969 Dodge Charger RT, one of the most iconic muscle cars ever built. Johnny Lightning has always been known for die-cast models with strong character, and this one definitely follows that tradition. Inside the blister, we have a metal body and metal chassis casting, with opening features and a finish that tries to replicate real aging. Before opening the package, let's take one last look at the card and blister, because the presentation itself is part of the experience. Now it's time to open it. The blister is carefully cut along the edge so the card can be preserved, something many collectors prefer when adding these models to a display. Once separated, the plastic shell reveals the Charger much more clearly. And even before removing it, the dusty finish and worn paint effect are immediately noticeable. With the model finally out of the blister, the first thing that stands out is the weathered paintwork. The faded red body, the dusty windows, and the worn panels give the impression of a car that has spent years sitting untouched. Underneath, the chassis shows the typical Johnny Lightning markings and exhaust details. But the most interesting feature is probably under the hood. Opening the hood reveals a bright red engine block. That contrast between the dusty exterior and the cleaner engine detail adds a nice visual balance to the model. The license plate reads FQUPR, another small detail that adds character. From every angle, the Charger keeps that abandoned muscle car vibe that the Barn Find series tries to capture. Looking closer at the body lines, the proportions of the Charger are very recognizable. The long hood, the fastback rear, and the wide stance are all classic elements of late 60s American muscle design. Details like the grille guard, the wheels with white lettering, and the slightly aged finish give the model a presence that feels very different from a factory-fresh die-cast. Even small features like the opening hood and the interior details add a bit more realism. And when you rotate the model slowly, the weathering effect becomes even more visible. The faded panels and dusty surfaces almost look like this Charger has just been discovered after years of sitting somewhere forgotten. Now the Charger moves into the city diorama. Placed among other cars in the parking lot, the contrast becomes even clearer. Next to modern and cleaner vehicles, this dusty muscle car immediately stands out, like something that has just arrived from a completely different era. After a short stop in the lot, the Charger moves again. And this time it arrives inside a covered parking garage. Two figures appear next to the car, almost like mechanics or curious observers ready to inspect what might still be hiding under that weathered body. The hood opens once more. The small red engine becomes the center of attention as the figures look closer, checking what condition this forgotten muscle car might be in. Scenes like this are where dioramas really bring a die-cast model to life. It stops being just a miniature and starts feeling like a story. And finally, the Charger returns next to its original packaging, a small reminder of where the story started. For collectors who enjoy models with character and narrative, pieces like this add something unique to a display.